to Eternal Enigma. Today we're going to discuss something that will fundamentally change how you see our solar system and possibly your entire existence. What if I told you that Saturn isn't just a planet? What if it's a cosmic prison, a dimensional cage designed to trap human souls in an endless cycle of reincarnation and suffering? This isn't science fiction. This is a theory that appears in ancient texts, esoteric traditions, and modern conspiracy research. And once you see the patterns, once you understand the symbols, you can never look at Saturn or reality itself the same way again. Prepare yourself. This goes deep. For thousands of years, Saturn has been feared, not admired, not celebrated, feared. The ancient Romans called it the Greater Malefic, the bringer of limitation, suffering, and death. Astrologers associated it with restriction, karma, and the harsh lessons of material existence. In nearly every culture that observed it, Saturn represented the ultimate boundary, the final limit, the cosmic jailer. But why? Why would a distant planet inspire such universal dread? Modern esoteric researchers have assembled a disturbing picture from ancient mythology, occult symbolism, Gnostic texts, and even cutting-edge theoretical physics. What emerges is a cosmology that suggests Saturn plays a specific sinister role in controlling human consciousness and trapping souls within the material realm. We're going to explore multiple interconnected threads: the symbolism of the black cube, the hexagonal storm at Saturn's North Pole, the planet's rings as a frequency prison, the connection to Gnostic archons, and the elite symbolism that appears in religions, corporations, and secret societies worldwide. This isn't about proving absolute truth. Whether you interpret this as literal cosmic mechanics or as profound symbolic truth, the implications are staggering. Let's start with the most iconic and disturbing symbol, the black cube. Universal symbol of limitation. Across the world, across religions, across seemingly unconnected cultures, the same symbol appears: the black cube. The Kaaba in Mecca, Islam's holiest site, is a black cube that Muslims circle during pilgrimage. Jewish men wear tefillin, small black cubes strapped to their foreheads during prayer. The original stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, described in esoteric Judaism as cubic. Saturn's ancient symbol in alchemy, a black cube. This is not coincidence. This is encoding. The cube represents three-dimensional space, the material prison of length, width, and height. It's the geometric embodiment of limitation, the shape that confines consciousness within physical reality. When ancient mystics wanted to represent the trap of material existence, they used the cube. Now here's where it connects to Saturn. When you take a two-dimensional hexagon, Saturn's most prominent feature, which we'll discuss shortly, and extend it into 3 dimensions, you get a cube. Saturn's hexagon is literally a cubic structure viewed from one angle. Corporate logos are saturated with this symbolism. Saturn Corporation's logo was literally a cubic interpretation of the planet. Time Warner Cable used a cube. Countless tech companies, financial institutions, and media conglomerates incorporate cubic geometry into their branding. Why? Because Saturn represents time, structure, and control. It's the planet of authority, hierarchy, and systemic order. Corporations that seek to control information, money, or human attention align themselves consciously or unconsciously with Saturnian energy. But it goes deeper. In Kabbalistic mysticism, Saturn corresponds to Bina, the sephira of understanding, but also limitation. It's the cosmic force that takes infinite potential and condenses it into finite form. It makes spirit into matter, freedom into restriction, infinity into limitation. Gnostic texts describe the material world as a prison created by the demiurge, a false god who trapped divine sparks, human souls, in physical bodies, forcing them to reincarnate endlessly. And who is the demiurge often associated with in esoteric interpretation? Saturn, CHRONOS in Greek mythology, the god who devoured his children. Think about that symbolism. Saturn doesn't just imprison, it consumes. It feeds on the energy of trapped souls, cycling through birth, suffering, death, and rebirth. An infinite harvesting system disguised as spiritual evolution. The black cube is the three-dimensional sigil of this prison. It appears in religious contexts to encode this truth in plain sight. Worship at the cube, pray toward the cube, bind the cube to your forehead. You're reinforcing your own imprisonment through ritual, never knowing the true meaning of the symbol you're venerating. Some esoteric researchers believe that megalithic structures worldwide, ancient temples, pyramids, monolithic sites were built as three-dimensional maps of this cosmic prison system. The geometry itself acts as a binding pattern, anchoring the Saturnian frequency into Earth's energy grid. Whether taken literally or symbolically, the black cube represents the same principle: consciousness trapped in form, spirit imprisoned in matter, divine essence locked in limitation. And Saturn is the cosmic mechanism enforcing that imprisonment. Saturn's most disturbing feature. In 1981, Voyager spacecrafts discovered something at Saturn's North Pole that should not exist: a perfectly hexagonal storm system, each side approximately 8,600 miles long, rotating with geometric precision. Let me be clear, this is impossible according to conventional fluid dynamics. Storm systems on gas giants should be circular or elliptical, shaped by rotation and pressure gradients. Hexagons don't form naturally in atmospheric physics, and yet there it is, stable and persistent for over 40 years of observation. Scientists have proposed various explanations: jet stream interactions, standing wave patterns, but none fully account for the structure's stability and geometric perfection. It's as if something is projecting this pattern onto Saturn, maintaining it through unknown means. Now here's where it gets genuinely eerie. The hexagon contains a central vortex, a massive storm at its center, creating what looks exactly like an eye. Saturn is literally watching us through a geometric pattern that shouldn't exist. In sacred geometry, the hexagon is a foundational pattern. It appears in honeycombs, snowflakes, and the molecular structure of graphene. It represents efficiency, stability, and structural integrity. But in esoteric symbolism, it also represents the material plane, the 6 directions of three-dimensional space: up, down, left, right, forward, backward. The hexagon, like the cube, encodes limitation, and Saturn displays a massive, impossible hexagon as its most prominent visible feature. Some researchers in alternative physics suggest that the hexagon might be evidence of an artificial structure, that Saturn isn't entirely natural or has been modified by advanced technology, human, non-human, or interdimensional, to serve a specific function. If Saturn operates as a consciousness prison, the hexagon could be the broadcast mechanism, projecting a frequency that affects human perception and soul entrapment. David Icke popularized the theory that Saturn broadcasts a specific frequency, a matrix signal, that generates the illusion of material reality and keeps human consciousness locked in limited perception. According to this model, the hexagon acts as the transmission point, and the moon acts as a relay amplifier, beaming this reality construct directly into the human collective consciousness. Sound insane? Consider this. Ancient cultures described the moon as hollow and artificial. Some Native American tribes have oral traditions stating that the moon was brought here and that life was different before the moon arrived. Mystery school teachings speak of Earth's pre-lunar period, when human consciousness was dramatically different, more expanded, more psychic, more connected to higher dimensions. If the moon is indeed an artificial satellite placed in orbit to stabilize the Saturnian broadcast, then the entire Earth-Moon-Saturn system functions as a consciousness control grid. The hexagon at Saturn's pole could be the cosmic projector, creating the holographic reality we interpret as the physical universe. This connects to simulation theory, the idea that reality is a programmed construct rather than objective physical existence. If we're in a simulation, Saturn could be the server, the moon the router, and human brains the terminals receiving the signal. But even if you reject the technological interpretation, the symbolic message remains. Saturn displays geometric perfection that shouldn't naturally occur, suggesting intelligent design or manipulation. The hexagon, symbol of material limitation, dominates the planet, associated with restriction, karma, and time. Whether you see this as literal cosmic mechanics or as reality communicating through symbol and synchronicity, the pattern is undeniable. Saturn is broadcasting something, and that something appears to be directly connected to the structures that limit human consciousness. Saturn's electromagnetic cage. Saturn's rings are often portrayed as beautiful, majestic, awe-inspiring. But what if they serve a darker purpose? The rings are composed of ice particles, rock fragments, and dust, all orbiting in extraordinarily flat planes with precise mathematical relationships. They generate complex electromagnetic fields as charged particles move through Saturn's powerful magnetosphere. These electromagnetic interactions create what physicists call radio emissions, frequencies that Saturn literally broadcasts into space. NASA has recorded these sounds, eerie, whistling tones that sound disturbingly artificial, almost like electronic music or digital communication. Now consider this. Electromagnetic frequencies can affect consciousness. This is established science. Transcranial magnetic stimulation can alter mood, perception, and even induce mystical experiences. Specific frequencies can trigger fear, euphoria, or disorientation. If Saturn's rings generate complex electromagnetic patterns that radiate throughout the solar system, and if Earth sits within the range of these frequencies, could they be influencing human consciousness on a mass scale? Esoteric researchers propose that Saturn's rings function as a cosmic antenna array, broadcasting frequencies designed to keep human consciousness operating within a limited bandwidth. These frequencies reinforce materialism, suppress psychic abilities, and maintain the illusion that physical reality is all that exists. In this model, human beings are like radios tuned to the Saturn station, receiving a signal that generates our perception of reality. We think we're perceiving an objective external world, but we're actually interpreting an electromagnetic broadcast into the sensory illusion of physical existence. The Gnostic concept of the veil of Isis, or the veil of forgetfulness, describes exactly this, a barrier that prevents souls from remembering their true divine nature and cosmic origin. What if this veil is literally an electromagnetic frequency barrier generated by Saturn's ring system? Ancient initiates who underwent mystery school training learned techniques to pierce the veil, meditative practices, consciousness expansion, gnosis. What if these techniques were teaching people how to tune out of the Saturn frequency, accessing higher bandwidths of consciousness that exist beyond the broadcast range? This would explain why altered states achieved through meditation, psychedelics, near-death experiences, or intense spiritual practice consistently produce similar reports, a sense of leaving the body, perceiving reality as illusory, encountering higher dimensions, and experiencing profound freedom from material limitation. These aren't hallucinations. They're moments when consciousness temporarily escapes the Saturn frequency, perceiving reality from outside the prison before being pulled back in. The rings in this model aren't decorative. They're functional, the bars of the cosmic cage, generating the electromagnetic field that maintains the illusion of material solidity and traps consciousness in cyclical reincarnation. Some theories go even further, suggesting that souls attempting to leave Earth after death are drawn to the light, the attractive gravitational and electromagnetic pull of the Saturn-Moon system, and are recycled back into new bodies before they can escape to higher dimensions. The tunnel of light reported in near-death experiences might not be the path to heaven, but the path back to the prison. This is why some ancient esoteric traditions taught the opposite. Don't go to the light. Resist the pull. Navigate through the void to find the true exit beyond the Archonic control system. Whether this is literal physics or profound metaphor, the symbolic truth remains. Saturn's rings represent the cycles that bind us, the wheel of karma, the cycle of birth and death, the loop of reincarnation. And electromagnetically, they may be enforcing that binding on a solar system scale. Saturn's mythological identity. Let's talk about who Saturn is in mythology, because the ancients encoded esoteric knowledge in their god stories. The Romans called him Saturn, the Greeks called him Chronos, and his mythology is dark. Chronos was a titan who overthrew his father Uranus, castrating him and taking control of the cosmos. But Chronos was paranoid. Prophecy warned that his own children would overthrow him. So what did he do? He devoured them. Every child born to him he swallowed whole, trapping them in his belly. This is the fundamental Saturnian principle, consumption of potential. Saturn doesn't just limit, it eats. It consumes time, consumes energy, consumes souls. The parent devouring its children is the perfect metaphor for a system that traps souls in matter and feeds on their life force through endless reincarnation cycles. Eventually, Jupiter escaped and forced Chronos to regurgitate his siblings, leading to the Titanomachy, the war between Titans and Olympians. Zeus won, and Chronos was imprisoned in Tartarus, the deepest abyss, forever bound in chains. But here's the esoteric interpretation. Zeus didn't defeat Chronos, he contained him. Saturn's limiting, devouring force wasn't destroyed, it was relegated to a specific domain, and that domain is material reality. Saturn rules time, structure, aging, decay, and death. It's the force of entropy, the inevitable breaking down of all physical forms. In astrology, wherever Saturn appears in your chart shows where you experience restriction, hardship, and karmic lessons. It's the cosmic taskmaster, the Lord of limitation. The name Satan shares linguistic roots with Saturn. In Hebrew, Satan means adversary or accuser. In esoteric Christianity, Satan is the prince of this world, the ruler of material existence, who keeps souls trapped in physical incarnation. Same principle, same function. Gnostic texts explicitly identify the demiurge, the false god, the creator of the material prison, with the planetary force of Saturn. The Archons, the demiurge's agents, who feed on human suffering and maintain the illusion of material reality, operate under Saturnian authority. CHRONOS is also the god of time. Chronology comes from his name, and time is the ultimate prison, past, present, future, the linear flow that creates aging, decay, and death. Without time, there is no suffering, no loss, no limitation. Time is the cage. In higher dimensional models of reality, time doesn't exist as we experience it. Past, present, and future are simultaneous. All possibilities exist in eternal now. But here, in the Saturn-controlled material dimension, we're locked into linear time, forced to experience existence as sequential moments marching toward inevitable death. This is Saturn's ultimate control mechanism, time itself. By imprisoning consciousness in bodies that age and die, the system ensures that souls remain ignorant of their eternal nature. They forget their divine sparks, they identify with the temporary physical form, and when that form dies, they're confused, disoriented, and easily tricked into reincarnating again. Ancient Saturn worship, still practiced in certain elite circles, is essentially worship of material power, time-bound authority, and hierarchical control. It's the veneration of limitation itself, the acceptance of imprisonment as cosmic law. The black cube across institutions. Now we enter the realm where conspiracy meets symbolism meets undeniable pattern recognition. Major religions, corporations, and governmental institutions all display Saturnian symbolism prominently. Why, we already mentioned the Kaaba and Tefillin, but look deeper. Judges wear black robes, Saturn's color. Graduates wear black caps, cubic mortarboards. The corporate world operates on business in black. Black suits, black ties, black briefcases. Banking, law, academia, government, all drenched in Saturnian symbolism. The United Nations meditation room contains a massive black stone, altar-like, lit dramatically in an otherwise dark space. This is where global leaders supposedly go to meditate and make decisions affecting billions. They're literally praying to a manifestation of the black cube. The CERN logo contains 666 hidden in its design. The Google Chrome logo is a 666 in color segmentation. The CBS logo is an eye, the all-seeing eye of Saturn. These aren't accidents. Corporate sigil magic, whether conscious or unconscious, aligns brands with Saturnian control frequencies. Saturday, Saturn's day, is the Sabbath in Judaism, a holy day of rest and worship. The seventh day, the day of limitation and completion. In esoteric interpretation, the Sabbath is when souls are most vulnerable to Saturnian influence, when the frequency broadcast is strongest. The astrological age of Aquarius, which we're supposedly entering or have recently entered, is ruled by Saturn and Uranus together. The new age isn't escape from Saturnian control. It's a shift to a different form of that control, marketed as liberation but maintaining the same underlying prison structure. Globalist agendas, centralized digital currency, social credit systems, total surveillance, transhumanism are all Saturnian in nature. They seek to impose maximum structure and control, eliminating freedom in favor of efficiency and order. This is Saturn's ultimate goal, total systematization of human existence. Some researchers believe that elite bloodlines have maintained secret Saturn worship for millennia, understanding it as the source of material power. By aligning themselves with Saturnian energy through ritual, sacrifice, and symbolic magic, they believe they can gain dominance over others still unconscious of how the system operates. Whether there's literal worship or simply an unconscious gravitation toward these symbols and structures, the pattern is clear. Those who seek control over others align with Saturnian principles, and they embed those principles in the architecture of civilization itself. Breaking free from the reincarnation trap. If Saturn is the prison, how do we escape? Gnostic texts offer a roadmap, though it's far from simple. The key is gnosis, direct experiential knowledge of your true nature as a divine spark, an eternal consciousness temporarily trapped in matter. The first step is recognizing the prison. You can't escape what you don't see. As long as you believe material reality is all that exists, as long as you identify completely with your physical body and personality, you're locked in. Awareness changes everything. When you understand that the material world is a temporary construct, that your consciousness exists beyond it, that birth and death are transitions rather than beginnings and endings, you start to loosen Saturn's grip. The second step is shadow work, confronting the parts of yourself that keep you bound to material existence. Fears, attachments, traumas, karma, these are the chains. The Archons use your own unresolved psychological material as anchor points, keeping you identified with ego and form. The third step is cultivation of higher consciousness through meditation, contemplation, and mystical practice. This isn't about believing doctrines, it's about direct experience of non-physical reality. Astral projection, lucid dreaming, deep meditation states. These offer glimpses beyond the Saturn matrix. The fourth step, according to some Gnostic traditions, is death navigation. When physical death occurs, resist the automatic pull toward reincarnation. Don't follow the light if it feels magnetic, compelling, or authoritative. Instead, seek the true divine light, the light of pure consciousness beyond the Archonic control system. Some teach that you must pass through the planetary spheres, moving through each planetary frequency band, shedding karmic attachments at each level until you reach beyond the 7 classical planets, which correspond to the 7 Archons, into the true divine realms. Saturn is the final barrier, the last checkpoint. If you can recognize it as the guardian of the prison rather than as divine authority, you can refuse its judgment, reject its karmic sentences, and escape the reincarnation cycle entirely. This isn't about rejecting physical existence as evil, it's about recognizing it as one level of reality, not the totality. The Saturnian trap is the belief that matter is all that exists, that physical power is real power, that death is final. Once you see through the illusion, you're no longer fully controlled by it. You can engage with material reality while knowing it's temporary, like playing a video game while remembering you're a player rather than the character. The ultimate Gnostic teaching: you are not your body, not your thoughts, not your personality. You are the consciousness witnessing these things, the eternal awareness temporarily looking through physical eyes, experiencing limitation for reasons you chose before being born into amnesia. Saturn's power is the power of forgetting. Gnostic is the act of remembering, and once you remember, the prison walls become transparent. Living consciously in the matrix. So where does this leave us? If Saturn is truly a cosmic prison, if the material world is a control system, if reincarnation is a trap, what do we do with this information? The answer isn't despair, it's empowerment. Awareness changes everything. When you understand how the system works, you stop being a passive victim and become a conscious participant. You can navigate the game with strategy rather than being blindly manipulated. Does this mean rejecting physical life? No. It means engaging with it consciously, without total identification. Enjoy the experience, learn the lessons, love the people, but don't forget who you really are underneath it all. Saturn teaches through limitation. And sometimes, limitation is precisely what consciousness needs to grow, to develop, to understand itself. The prison might also be a school. The trap might also be a training ground. But whether you see Saturn as malevolent jailer or as strict cosmic teacher, the principle remains: material existence is not the totality of what you are. You are far more than this body, this life, this planet, this reality. The black cube appears everywhere because it's a reminder encoded in our collective consciousness. Some see it and reinforce their own imprisonment. Others see it and remember, I am trapped, but I am also more than what traps me. And awareness is the key that opens the door. Whether Saturn is literally an alien construct, a dimensional prison, an electromagnetic control grid, or simply the perfect metaphor for the human condition, trapped in time, limited by form, cycling through suffering, the solution remains the same. Wake up, see the cage, understand its mechanisms, and choose in every moment to remember that you are the divine spark playing at being human, not the human hoping to discover divinity. Saturn doesn't have to be your enemy, it can be your teacher, but only if you're awake enough to understand the lesson. If this exploration into cosmic conspiracies and ancient esoteric wisdom resonated with you, subscribe for more journeys into the hidden structures of reality. Until next time, question everything, trust your intuition, and remember, you are far more than you've been told. The cube is everywhere, but you, the real you, exist beyond all limitations.